I bet you've looked at the online world and thought, hey, what are the real opportunities here?
Hmm.
I mean, especially with how quickly things change.
Could be a lot to keep up with.
Exactly. So today we're diving deep into something you might be curious about, or hey, maybe even thought about trying yourself.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What is it?
Selling website templates in 2025.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So is it still a good idea? Can you still build a whole business around it?
Those are the big questions, yeah.
Right. And you actually shared a piece from blogwidow.com recently that gets into all of this.
It does, yeah. It's a pretty thorough article.
So our mission today is to go beyond just skimming the surface.
Right?
We really want to extract those golden nuggets of insight. Paint a clear picture of the market as it stands today, where the doors are open, and also what roadblocks you might run into.
Sounds like a plan.
Because it feels like just yesterday, although it was a little while ago, actually.
Right.
Website templates really changed the game. I mean, back in the early 2000s, if
Mhm.
you wanted a website that actually looked good and you didn't know how to code,
Oh, yeah.
templates were like a miracle.
Yeah.
They made pro-looking websites something anyone could do, a real game changer.
Totally. Yeah, it democratized web design for sure. But if you look at where things are now, it's just, it's a completely different world. We've
Right.
got drag and drop builders.
Yeah.
We've even got AI tools now to help with the design. And then there's all these no code options. Tools where you can build a website or even an app without having to write a single line of code.
Pretty mind-blowing how far things have come.
It is. So it's totally fair to wonder, where do those traditional website templates even fit into all of this?
Yeah, good point.
The blogwidow.com article actually really gets into this whole evolution and how the template market has shifted dramatically over the last, say, 10 years or so.
It has. You used to see those really generic one-size-fits-all templates everywhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But now, like the article points out, you've got these huge global marketplaces like ThemeForest, Template Monster, Creative Market.
Right.
So it's clearly not just about slapping up any old design anymore.
Yep. Definitely not. What's really interesting is the shift in what people are actually looking for now.
Oh, how so?
Well, the article makes it clear that those simple generic templates, they just don't work for a lot of people anymore.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
There's a much bigger demand now for templates that are tailored to specific industries, right? They've got to have a high level of customization, and they absolutely have to be responsive, meaning they look good on any device, desktops, phones, everything.
Makes sense. Think about it. A basic template probably wouldn't include the very specific features that a particular business might need.
Exactly. And the article actually uses a dentist as a great example.
Oh, interesting.
Because a dentist isn't going to want just a few basic pages. They might need things like online booking for appointments, a way to securely handle patient information, maybe even integrations that are specific to healthcare regulations.
Yeah.
You just can't get all of that from a generic template. So this whole move towards very niche requirements seems really important.
Hugely important. It's like the whole template market is maturing or something.
It really is. And that actually brings us to the first big reason why selling website templates can still be a really profitable business even as we head towards 2025.
Okay, I'm all ears.
And that is the power of what the article calls niche customization and specialized features.
I like it.
Yeah, it really emphasizes that creating these highly tailored industry-specific templates can actually be incredibly rewarding, financially.
So let's unpack that a little bit. If you're designing a template with all those built-in features that a certain industry needs, you're essentially giving the user this massive shortcut, right?
You are. They're going to save a ton of time and probably a lot of money because they don't have to go out and find all these different plugins and try to make them all work together or, try to code all that stuff themselves.
Yeah, it takes so much of the hassle out of it.
It does. The article actually gives the example of a real estate template.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine one that already has all the stuff for listing properties, right? It's got a built-in mortgage calculator. It's got maps already integrated.
That's a huge time saver for someone working in real estate.
Exactly. It gives them a massive advantage right out of the gate. And because you're offering something so targeted, so valuable, the article suggests you can really stand out from everyone else who's selling templates, and you can actually charge more for it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, another factor that the article highlights for staying profitable is leveraging those established marketplaces like ThemeForest and Creative Market that we mentioned before.
Right.
What's the big advantage there for someone who's looking to sell their template designs?
I think what's really powerful is the instant access to a huge audience. These platforms already have literally millions of people actively searching for website templates.
It's like having a built-in customer base.
It is. So as a designer, you can tap into that immediately. You don't have to spend a ton of time and energy building your own marketing machine from scratch.
Yeah, that can be a huge hurdle for people starting out.
Right. And the article also makes the point that these marketplaces handle a lot of the logistical stuff like the payments, a certain level of customer support, even some of their own marketing campaigns.
So it frees you up to focus on what you're good at, the designing.
Exactly. The designing and developing those top-notch templates.
Okay, so those platforms do take a cut of each sale.
They do, yeah.
But the article seems to imply that the sheer volume of people you can reach and that kind of built-in credibility you get from being on one of those well-known sites more than makes up for the fees.
It does. It's like having your shop in a really busy and well-respected online mall.
I love that analogy.
And then, of course, there's the whole appeal of passive income, which is something the article really stresses.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that once you create and upload a template, people can keep buying it over time
Wow.
with very little work on your end.
Exactly.
Kind of the holy grail of online business, right?
It is. You put in the work up front, and then it just keeps generating revenue. But the article does make a really important point here.
What's that?
That template needs to be good, like really good.
High quality, you mean?
Yeah, high quality, relevant to what people are actually looking for, and it has to be kept up to date. It's not a totally set it and forget it kind of situation.
Ah, so it's not completely passive then.
Right. You've got to stay on top of things
Mhm.
because the web changes so fast, both in terms of how things look and the technology behind everything.
That's true. A template that looked amazing and worked perfectly 5 years ago might look dated and clunky now.
Exactly.
So what you're saying is, if you want to create that passive income stream from templates, you can't just sit back and relax.
You can't. You've got to put in some ongoing effort to keep those templates relevant.
Yeah.
Updating them, promoting them, maybe even building a little community around them.
Right, keeping them fresh and competitive.
Exactly. Then there's the last point the article makes about profitability, which is the idea of expanding into other services.
Okay, I'm curious about that. How does selling templates open up those opportunities?
Well, think about someone who buys a template. They might love the design, but then realize, oh, I need some help tweaking this to fit my brand, or maybe they need some extra features that aren't included in the basic template.
Right.
That's where the original designer can step in and offer things like custom design work, more in-depth template customization, even full-on website development.
Ah, so the template is like a starting point.
Exactly, a foot in the door. And it can turn into a much bigger, more valuable client relationship.
That's a really smart way to look at it. It's not just about selling that one product, it's about opening the door to more service-based income.
Right.
But the article also talks about some pretty big challenges for anyone trying to sell templates in 2025.
It does. And the first big one is, well, the competition. There's just so much more of it now. The article points out that the market is way more crowded than it used to be.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There are tons of designers out there and just a massive number of templates across all these different platforms.
Almost like trying to shout over a huge crowd.
Yeah, it is. And then you've got the fact that a lot of website builders come with their own template libraries now, often for free or really cheap.
True. That's got to make it tough to stand out.
It does. The article stresses that if you really want to succeed in this space now, you have to offer something unique, something truly different. That could be that really tight niche focus we were talking about, offering really advanced customization options that most templates don't have, maybe even just amazing customer support that builds loyalty.
Those are all good strategies. And speaking of website builders, that's another challenge the article brings up.
Right.
You've got platforms like Wix, Squarespace, Shopify. They all come with their own templates built right in. So the big question is, why would someone even bother buying a template from somewhere else?
That's the million-dollar question. And the article acknowledges that these built-in templates are super convenient. They're right there, ready to go. But it also points out the limitations.
Like what?
Well, you're kind of stuck with what they give you in terms of design, and the level of customization you can do is usually pretty limited.
Ah, so there's less flexibility.
Exactly. And that's where independent template designers can still shine.
Okay, yeah, because you can offer more than the basic stuff.
Right. More sophisticated designs, more features. You can create things that are genuinely unique and go way beyond what those website builders offer. Appeal to those people who really want a website that stands out and looks polished.
So it's all about that extra level of sophistication and customization that the do-it-yourself website builders can't quite match.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the third challenge the article mentions is how fast things change in web design.
Yeah.
Both the trends and the technology behind it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like trying to hit a moving target.
It is. It's constantly evolving. What's trendy and cutting edge today could be old news in a couple of years.
It's true.
The article really emphasizes that template sellers have to be proactive, stay up to date on the latest design trends, keep up with all those important web standards.
Like what kind of standards?
Things like mobile-first design,
Which is?
basically making sure your website looks and works great on phones first and then desktops.
Oh, okay.
And page speed optimization,
Yeah.
making sure your website loads quickly, all that SEO stuff to make sure people can actually find your website.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is.
And it's not just about how it looks, right?
Right. The article also talks about how important it is to keep your templates updated so they work with content management systems, like WordPress.
Oh, yeah, those updates can be a pain.
They can be, but you've got to do it, especially when WordPress releases a new version.
Because if your template breaks every time there's an update,
You're going to lose customers.
yeah, not good for repeat business.
Not at all. So yeah, regular updates are key. They keep your templates working, they keep them secure, and it just creates a much better user experience overall.
Which is what it's all about at the
Oh.
end of the day.
It is.
So it sounds like there are still some really great opportunities in selling website templates, but to really succeed, you need to be forward-thinking. You need to be adaptable.
You do.
And the blogwidow.com article actually ends on a pretty optimistic note.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about some promising areas for template designers going forward.
They do.
What are some of the key opportunities they see?
One that they highlight, and this is a really interesting area that's growing really fast, is the rise of no-code platforms.
Right. We touched on those earlier.
We did. And as we said, those platforms are making it possible for people who don't know how to code to build websites and applications. And that's creating this huge demand for templates that are designed to work specifically within those no-code environments.
So it's almost like a return to the original appeal of templates, making good design accessible to people who don't know code. But this time, it's for this whole new wave of no-code users.
It is. And these users still want a professional-looking and, aesthetically pleasing website. They just don't want to have to learn how to code to get it.
Right. So they want ease of use and they want speed, but they don't want to sacrifice good design.
Exactly. And the article also talks about the growing demand for what they call hyper-niche templates.
Hyper niche? What's that?
It's basically the idea that as businesses become more specialized, they're targeting really specific types of customers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Their websites need to be more specialized too.
So instead of just a general business template, you might create one that's specifically for, say, a vegan organic bakery in a particular city.
Exactly.
And that template would have features for things like online ordering, local deliveries, showcasing their ethical sourcing practices.
That's exactly it. So by focusing on really specific industries, professions, even locations, template designers can tap into these niche markets and potentially avoid some of that fierce competition that exists in the more general template space.
That's a smart strategy. So to sum it all up, it seems like selling website templates in 2025, it's not necessarily an easy road, but it's definitely not a dead end either.
Right.
It takes some careful thought and planning.
It does. The key takeaway from the blogwidow.com article seems to be that if you want to be successful, you have to really focus on creating templates that are tailored to specific niches. They offer a high level of customization, they're user-friendly, and they stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, you can't just throw any old template out there and expect it to sell.
You can't. But even though the market is competitive, there are definitely some big opportunities out there, especially with these no-code platforms becoming more popular and this growing need for templates that cater to very specific industries.
And we shouldn't forget about the power of those established online marketplaces.
Absolutely not.
They can really help you get your templates in front of a huge audience, but you've also got to provide real value, unique features, great design. And it's so important to stay on top of the trends in technology, how things are constantly changing.
It's all about being adaptable.
Finding your niche in this ever-changing world.
Exactly. For those who are willing to put in the work, stay ahead of the curve, really understand what website owners need, and deliver those high-quality, specialized templates, selling website templates can definitely still be a viable business, something that can generate real income over the long term.
Well, that was a really insightful deep dive into the world of selling website templates. Thanks so much for breaking down that blogwidow.com article for us.
Happy to do it.
So we've shared our thoughts, but now it's your turn. We've talked about how businesses online are becoming more specialized, so here's something to think about. What unexpected or emerging niche do you think could be a great target for website templates in the future? Think outside the box. Are there any industries that are being overlooked right now, or are there any online needs that are growing really fast that template designers could tap into? We challenge you to really consider this and keep exploring this ever-changing landscape of online business and digital design.
It's a fascinating world out there,
It is.
and who knows what the future holds.